you better. Guess you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, what should have it? Stop delusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Yeah, you better. Take the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if you try it. You're the artist and the mess, and happily be found the new in your hands.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody. What's up? Welcome to another episode of Unlimited with Elisabeth Carson. Nothing is off limits here, guys. Nothing. Nothing is off limits on my podcast at all. At all. I talk about everything. I'm curious about everything. I want to know all the things. All the things. And today, guys, I'm going to talk about something that is so deeply connected and just it's deep. It's deep to me. Because I will be quite honest, I lost my way for a little while. Meaning I got away from God for some years in my life. I didn't stop believing in God, but I got buried under my pain, under the chaos of life. I was in survival mode. And, I got very disconnected. Sometimes you don't lose God, you lose yourself. And then when you come back home to you come back home to Him. So that is kind of what has happened to me. And this is some deep stuff to me, guys, because okay, let's just start from the beginning. So I was raised Presbyterian Christian. And so every single Sunday we would go to church and I would go to Sunday school. And then I was even in the choir. So I would go to choir practice on Wednesday. So I was deeply involved in church when I was younger. My parents are Christian. My mom is a devoted Christian, Presbyterian Christian. It's one of the legs of Christianity. And so I was, rooted from a very, very young age inside of Christianity and God. And, I remember being young and trying to, listen to the sermons and, just be there. And what I do remember is that, I loved the church services until the sermon came. And then when the sermon came, I'd be sitting there like so bored, like it's going to be over, and I just, I always question certain things being young in church. I always question things. It seemed like a lot of stories that didn't make all the sense in the world to me when I was that age. So I questioned, but I always participated. I mean, I hear a lot of really horrible stories about church and manipulation of religion and people and how they just want money and all of these things when it comes to church. But honestly, that was never my experience. It was never my experience. The church that I went to, that I grew up in, those people were so good. They were such good people. I remember we used to feed the homeless. It was called the Advent House in Lansing, Michigan. And we would volunteer and make food and serve the homeless, on the weekends. And they were always doing great things, always. And I remember my pastor, he, even into adulthood was there for me, even until adulthood. I saw him a couple times because I got lost in life. Of course y'all heard my life story. I was just all over the place and, I was lost. Especially at one point in my life, there was a time when I just kind of really lost hope. I was gone. I was into a lot of drugs. I just had no hope about anything. I was completely just off the trail. Like I wasn't rooted in anything except for drugs. I was stripping at the time. So at that point, 19 years old, I was rooted in money and ego, completely lost. And I remember I still had that pull to try to do something better. And so I remember I called my mom and I was like, "Hey, do you think you could set me up an appointment with the pastor? Because I think I need to just talk to somebody." And so she did. And he was there for me. So, my experience in religion, in the church, growing up in church, it was never about manipulation at my church. It was always about goodness, helping people that had less than, and serving people. I remember the older people in the church, sometimes would need help, sometimes would, the husband would pass away or the wife would pass away, and then the other would be left alone. And the whole church would just come to the rescue of the person and deliver food and just be there for them. And it was always like that. I mean, they were always involved in good stuff, serving the homeless was huge. And guys, when I was a freshman in high school, this is so crazy because this just shows how I've always had like this really toxic path of life and then this really non-toxic path of life. So if you're looking from the outside in, it looks like, wow, she's just got it all going on. Everything is amazing in her life. And then my toxic road, though, it's like what was hidden behind the scenes and what nobody really knew what was happening, right? And this is exactly what happened my freshman year of high school because we went on a mission trip. We went on a mission trip to Matamoros, Mexico, like right next to South Padre, Texas. And if y'all know, South Padre is like the spot to party, right? And so I went with my best friend at the time. She was also a freshman in high school. And, we went with my mother and the youth leader of the church and then some other people. So we went over to Matamoros, Mexico. And I remember this changed my life, you guys. It changed my life. So if you have kids, if you are raising babies, put those babies into volunteer work at a young age. I always was put into volunteer work. I mean, I started working at a library when I was like 7 years old, putting books away. My parents always threw me into stuff. I remember I was volunteering at nursing homes. And like I said, we were feeding the homeless. And when I was in ninth grade, I had the opportunity to go on this mission trip to help these kids in Matamoros, Mexico. So I remember this trip so deeply because it really almost stamped the rest of my life, me committing to trying to help others. Because at that time, my experience was only my experience, which was, mid-level, white collar, suburbs. And, all good. I was 13, So we went on this mission trip. And I remember riding in Mexico and looking around like, holy shit, how could these people be living in these conditions? I remember it was just, they didn't have any road. We were on a dirt road. It was mud, sand. It was just no greenery. There was no grass. It was just literally, they were living on top of dust, basically. And then it was these metal sheets for roofs and like pieces of cardboard for side walls. And I could not believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe it because like I said, my experience up until that time was only what I had seen before. So this completely shocked me. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe people are living like this. This is insane. Insane. So that experience shaped the rest of my life, guys, which is why I'm telling you, if you have kids, if you have young kids, put them into different programs or have them experience different things. For instance, I mean, I took my son to Egypt, and Egypt, third world country. I mean, buildings are cracked and just, it's not good conditions, but I wanted to expose my son to that so he could see, you're very blessed with what you have because it is not like this around the world everywhere. So be grateful for what you got because you could be living over there with no windows, no electricity, having to go outside to go to the bathroom. Like you could be living like this, so take your kids and to places, have them experience things. But back to my story of my two life paths here. So we got there and we checked into the hotel and, basically what we ended up doing was building orphanages for kids out there in Matamoros, Mexico. And so we did. And my girlfriend and I, we're cute little young girls. We met these two cute Mexican boys. And we got cool with them. And so during the day, we were, putting together the orphanage. We were spreading caliche, that's what it's called, and actually building these orphanages for these kids. Oh my God, it was so rewarding. I mean, these kids were just so innocent and so beautiful. And that experience was everything. But like I said, 2 lives, right? 2 lives. So met these Mexican boys. They asked us to go out. And so me and my girl, I mean, we're freshmen in high school on our spring break. I'm like, hell yeah, we're about to sneak out. I mean, by then I've been sneaking out for like forever. So it was nothing new for me to just get up out of the room and sneak somewhere because I was used to it. I was doing it all the time anyway, since like literally second grade, which is really toxic and crazy now that I think about it, that I was sneaking out in second grade, but I was crazy. So yeah, we ended up sneaking out, and it's also really wild to me that the youth leader snuck us out, and he drove us to South Padre, Texas, where we went to a club and partied and got trashed with the 2 Mexican boys. The youth leader of the church. Now that I think about that, I mean, I thought it was super cool back then, but now that I think about that, no. First of all, this was a grown ass man taking 2 little 13, 14-year-olds out to parties to drink. Sick. Really, really not cool. That was bad. That was really bad. So yeah, when you have your kids on these experiences, just make sure that you got your kids locked down, because you never know. You never know. Because that was crazy. So anyways, 2 lives. So we're helping, we're building the orphanages, and then me and my girl are sneaking out every night. Insane. We had a lot of fun though. And honestly, that trip changed my life, and it changed my life for the better. Luckily, nothing happened to us. We didn't get raped. We didn't get stole. We didn't get sold into sex trafficking, which could have happened for sure. Could have happened. Insane. I can't believe he would do that. But yeah, that trip changed my life. Changed my life because it showed me a different perspective of the world. And it showed me that, I'm so grateful to be living in this country and be living in America, where we have running water, where we have buildings that have roofs, where we don't have to sleep in the rain and on top of mud on the ground. And this trip, it hit my heart so deeply that I actually wrote a sermon about it. And so I, in my church, reflected, and I did a sermon in church. I had the entire congregation crying because I was just, I don't know, I used to write a lot. I used to write when I was younger. And so, that hit me deeply, that experience. So, I mean, I'm saying all this, guys, to tell you guys, I was rooted in God, in religion, growing up for a long time. I always felt a little weird about the stories being told. And I always felt a little weird about, some of the things that they were talking about in church. And so I questioned a lot, but I did know that these people are good. This church is good. These people are good. My parents are good. And they want good for people. So that was my perspective of religion, of Christianity, of Christian people, of people of God and religion. It was of the utmost respect that these people are just good people trying to help. Okay. Because that was my experience. Even through all of the trauma and the drama in my life, my pastor held me down all the way through, even though I stopped going to church when I got old enough to stop going. I stopped going. When I got in trouble with the law, my pastor was there. My pastor wrote me a letter. So when the judge would sentence me, when the judge sentences you, you got to have the letters from the people and show you're a stand-up citizen, even though you're committing crimes, blah, blah, blah. Try to lower the sentence. So my pastor wrote me a letter for sentencing, and it helped. It helped. And even when I was trying to get my real estate license, like I said, you can't get your real estate license in Michigan when you have felonies. They gave me 2 felonies, not just one. The prosecutor did, because If you have one felony, you can get that felony expunged pretty quickly after like 7 years or something, or it falls off or something. I don't know. One felony. So that prosecutor in Michigan made sure that he stuck me with 2. So I would be, it would be on my record for the rest of my life. Thank you, prosecutor. By the way, maybe I'll go off on a jail rant another time, but that system is so freaking broken. And just for that prosecutor to do that to me, I was 23 years old, 23 or 24 years old. My brain wasn't even fully developed yet. That prosecutor, I had no priors except for some DUIs, DUIs. It was nothing major. I had nothing violent, no priors like that. Misdemeanor, drunk, just partying shit, And he made sure to stick me with 2 felonies so I could never get it taken off my record. And that is bullshit. Okay? That's bullshit. We need to learn that system needs to learn how to take in account a person's life, a person's emotional state, a person's age, what that person is surrounded with before sentencing somebody, before doing that to somebody. Because he did that, any normal person would give up, because you can't get jobs with felonies out here. It's so hard to get work with felonies, with a criminal record. It is they do not rehabilitate you. They make it harder for you to live the straight and narrow road when you get out. That's what happens with this broken ass system. But that's another thingy for another day. I'm talking about God. So yes, back to God. My pastor was there for me. He was there for me. Always, always. So I was always rooted, with some sort of that. Now, I never all the way subscribed to religion and Christianity. Never, because like I said, I always questioned things. Things didn't sound right to me. I don't know. It just, God killing his son. So his son sacrificing his son for the sins of people. It never really made sense in my head. I never discredited anything or, looked down on anything, because honestly, guys, I feel truly, deeply that whatever makes you feel good and whole and connects you with source, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever you need to do to have that in your life, please, by all means, have that. I don't judge any religion. I don't judge any belief. I don't really actually judge anything, but I try not to, at least. But what I don't like is the manipulation, manipulation and trying to control with these certain belief systems. That's what I don't subscribe to at all. But anyways, I started to walk down a more spiritual path on my journey after I, turned like 20 on. When I got locked up, I remember I think I read like half the Bible when I was locked up, because there's really nothing else to do other than read in there. So I remember I did read a lot of the Bible, and I got a lot of value out of it, guys. A lot. Again, I didn't subscribe to all the stories, but I got a lot of value in what I was reading. A lot. And then, guys, I kind of got away. So interestingly enough, the past 5 years, except for these last 3 months, I have been the farthest away from God that I've ever been in my life, ever. Like I said, I grew up in church, I've always prayed. I've even blessed food, I was taught that. But these last 5 years were very confusing for me, because I started to learn other things. And I started to learn a lot that made sense to me, a lot that made sense. Tons, actually. More so than Christianity made sense to me, because it started connecting things that I feel were real tablets, ancient tablets and ancient scribes and stories. I started to look into that stuff. I mean, y'all know who I was with. So I was all the knowledge, all of it about all of that. And I was like, this is it. This is it. This is what happened to us. Like, we came from these people, the Anunnaki. I mean, the Anunnaki came here, and I guess there were hominids on the planet already. And the Anunnaki changed the genes in us to make us what we are today so that we could serve them, basically be their slaves, pretty much. And it made sense to me. All of this made sense. A lot of it makes sense still to me. But what I got kind of confused with was the teachings of we are God, right? That part, we are gods. I know that I am part of God, right? I know that I have God in me. I am connected to God. Therefore, God power is within me. But, I started really believing that I was God, and we don't need any God because we are God, and we have the power within us to create whatever it is that we want to create, and that we don't need, Almighty, all high. And so I learned about all of these different things, all of these ancient tablets, all of these different stories. And, because the ancient text is much older than the Bible, and it made more sense to me, I went all the way deep into all of that. All of that. Yeah. No, I didn't. Look it up. Yeah, so I mean, I got disconnected from the root of God because I became God. So this is why I'm telling you guys, I got very spiritually confused for a while. So I stopped praying and I started to demand, right? Because I was taught, let's stop hoping and wishing and praying and blah, 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 blah. So I started to, demand and, this is what is going to happen, blah, blah, blah. So I'm God, I'm creating, I'm manifesting. This is coming from me. I don't need to lean on an outer source and give my power away. This was my belief system, right? Going through the last 5 years. And what I found was that my emotions started to get a little bit out of control, was that my anxieties started to go up, that I always had a low level anxiety in my system. And I think it's because I was not rooted in anything solid, except for the fact that I was God and I didn't need to lean on anything because I'm almighty and powerful myself. And guys, that's what messed my head up so bad. So bad. And I didn't even know this. This is all stuff that I've recently really come around to learning about myself in the last 5 years. So I'll tell you this crazy story that happened about maybe 6 months ago. Yeah, about 6 months ago now. So I was lost, guys, lost, burnt out, just not rooted in anything solid. I had massive amounts of anxiety. When you're in burnout, nothing makes sense because physically your body has changed when you're burnt out. And I'm going to do an entire show on burnout because it is something that so many of us deal with on a daily basis. So many of us. And it creates inflammation and it creates dis-ease in the system, disease that will lead you to disease. It'll make you sick. Burnout makes people sick. So that's where I was. That's where I was. Burnt out. Just lost, confused, not knowing what to do. Wasn't turning to anything because, I'm God, right? Still my mind frame. I'm God. I'm still, God. So just trying to manifest my days, trying to just push through things, trying to hustle, trying to make it. Because everything was like, I was just trying to make it. I was so crazy story. And I'm not making this up. 6 months ago. So incredibly lost that I was reaching for something. I'm like, what do? I need to get back to myself. I'm not myself. I don't feel right. I'm jacked up. So I called a shaman that I had worked with before. I think I've done medicine with her maybe 3-4 years ago now. And so I called her thinking that maybe she could help me find myself again. Maybe she could help me, we could do some medicine together and she could bring me back to myself. So I call her and I'm like, hey, I know it's been so long. I just want to let you know though, I'm not feeling good. And I am hoping that you can give me some guidance. And she was like, this is going to trigger you. And I was like, what do you mean? What's going to trigger me? She was like, I know what you've been in and this is going to trigger you. And I'm like, okay, what to say it? She was like, well, about a year ago, I found Jesus Christ and I'm reading the Bible and I'm following Christianity now. I'm a Christian. I was like, what? Huh? A shaman. I was like, wait a minute. What did you say? I was so surprised. I was like, oh my, what? So I had to explain to her first, that doesn't trigger me, number one. Because of the thing that I was involved with before, people had this perspective of me that I just look down on people that are religious or Christian or Catholic or whatever they believe. That was never my thing, okay? It was never my thing, guys. I never judged anyone for any of it because I believe that everybody needs to have something that makes them feel good, right? That they can lean into, that gives them guidance. I mean, my mother is a devout Presbyterian Christian woman. And if she did not have that, she would not be the light of my life. She would not be the angel walking on this planet, doing what she's doing, the hard work at her old age, still feeding homeless people every weekend. So how could I judge someone for believing something? So I had to explain to her, no, that doesn't trigger me. And honestly, if that's helping you right now, I'm so glad for you. I'm so happy for you. Please tell me more. So I had her talk to me about her experience and her experiences. And she was talking to me about how Jesus came to her in one of her sacrament sessions that she was having, medicine. And she basically, said that he gave her a message and told her that she needed to follow Christianity and the Bible. And so she started to do that. And she told me, and she sounded different and her vibration felt different. And she was like, I've never been so happy in my life. She's like, I've never been so happy. And she's like, I've never been so without and happy. She's like, I don't even have any money right now. But she's like, I don't care because I know that everything is divine and God has my back and Jesus Christ has my back. I was like, whoa, this is insane. Because I was calling the shaman thinking that we're going to plan some medicine, like a ceremony together. And now she's talking to me about Jesus Christ, the Bible, and Christianity. I was like, this is crazy. But I was open, like I always am. I'm always open to hear perspectives. I'm always open to hear how other people walk through life and what makes them feel good. And, I'm always open to that. So I listened to her and we talked for about an hour. And I was just, you know what? She was like, listen, can I pray for you? And I was like, please pray for me. I need it. I need it. So she prayed for me for a good 5-10 minutes. And after she did that, guys, I felt calmer than I have felt in a long time. Okay? Calmer. Now, this is even crazier. Even crazier. Same day. I was gone from my home at that time. So I knew that I had to go to my home and have a rough conversation. And I knew that conversation was going to be pretty toxic and I was going to be talked at, not talked to. And like I said, guys, I was lost in the sauce, very reactive, very out of myself, burnt out. And so I always had this low level anxiety and I was always on the brink of not popping off externally, but internally, like popping off internally. I'm talking like, it's basically just a mirror to yourself, like, and then you pop off at yourself inside because you can't express it, because if you express it, then the outer world gets too crazy and then it just all falls apart, right? So these moments I would have, like huge emotional moments because I was not rooted in anything but me. I was following me. I was following only me. So anyways, I leave the place where I was at and I'm driving to the place where I was going. And I call my girlfriend because my girlfriend and I had done the ceremony together with the shaman. And I was like, yo, I got to tell her that the shaman went Christian and is following Jesus Christ. I was like, I got to call her and tell her this. So I call her on the way and she picks up. And so I start telling her what happened. I'm like, yo, she's a Christian. She's following Jesus Christ. She's reading the Bible. And my girl, who used to work at the place with me there, she worked there with me. She was like, what is so crazy right now is the fact that you're calling me about this. And 5 minutes ago, I was just telling my husband, or my husband was just telling me that if that woman, talking about me, found God, she would be unstoppable. Her husband told her that 5 minutes before I called her. And she said, look, I have been scared to tell you this. I haven't been wanting to tell you this. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, why? She's like, honestly, I have been reading the Bible again and I've been going to church again. And she's like, I've been scared to tell you because I thought you were going to cut me off. I thought you were just going to, disown me. I was like, why does everybody have this assumption about me that I have such judgment on other people's belief systems? I'm like, that's not me. I'm like, look, if that's making you feel good and if that's helping you get through hard times in life and it's stabilizing your emotions, please do more of it. Do more of it. And so she started talking to me about church and the Bible and how it's been helping her. Because honestly, guys, we were all lost there. All of us. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I was like, you know what? Keely prayed for me. I was like, and she's like, let me pray for you too. And so she prayed for me for like 5 minutes before I had to go have this hard conversation. She prayed for me and I felt this settle. Like I felt my emotions again settle. They just settled. And I was like, I felt stronger. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And then number 3, my manager calls me out the blue. And he was like, I've been feeling something from you. Do you need me to pray for you? I'm not making this shit. I'm not making this shit up. I knew that he was a Christian though. I mean, his brother like runs all the huge churches in Florida. I knew that he was Christian. But just for him to call me on that same car ride right after I get off the phone with her, and this guy never prays with me. Like, huh? He knew what I was into, so he wasn't like, I was like, whoa, okay, whoa. Now this is something. And I don't know what it is, but it's something. Okay. Like, I don't know. So, guys, I went into this conversation so calm for the first time in years. I was so calm. And I said, there has to be something to this. There has to be something to this. What is this about? And so as I'm sitting there getting talked at, which I knew I was going to be, not talked to, for 3 hours straight, by the way, every time that I would start to feel a little bit of that freak out, that pop off, come up, I would say in my head, God, Jesus, if this is real, show me, calm me down. And boom, zoop, emotions calmed. I sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours. And I sat there in love, not reacting, allowing, even though it was incredibly awful. But I did not pop off. So as I'm sitting there and I'm feeling guilty. This is where my spiritual confusion came in. I was sitting there feeling so guilty, so weak that I had to call on to something else to settle me down, that I couldn't do it myself because I'm the creator of my reality. I do this. How come I have to lean on something external to help calm me down? I was sitting there feeling extremely guilty and low, and like I had no power, and like I was just giving all my power away. And it messed me up, man. That messed me up. It messed me up. And so, guys, I'm telling you all this not to say that I subscribe to a religion, because I don't. I subscribe to God. I subscribe to God. I think that all religion is beautiful in its own way. Seriously, all religion is beautiful in its own way. And I honestly think that each religion is just trying to do the same thing for us that the other ones do. I feel like it's all for a purpose and a reason, and it's all for unconditional love. I'm talking about the cup half full, not empty. I know that there is tons of manipulation. There's been tons of deaths. There's been tons of killings over religion. I understand that, and it's sad and awful. But I feel like that's the toxicity of the human, not the religion. That's the toxicity of us, the sickness within us as being human and unperfect, not perfect. But not the concept of religion. I think that it's all really trying to say the same thing in a different way, to speak to different people, to touch them in different ways. That's my perspective of this religion, at least. But I come here in front of you guys to say, because I know that I used to preach a lot in the old place about we are God and we don't need to lean on Sky Daddy for anything. And I will tell you that me not leaning into Sky Daddy had me jacked up for a long time. A long time. I am not God, nor is any of us. Because if we were God, do you think for any moment in time that there would be this toxicity on the planet, that we would be mean to each other, that we would be judgmental of each other, that we would look upon each other with anything but love. See, if we were God, it would be only love, because God is the frequency of love, period. Period. So I just want to make it clear right now that we have God within us. We are pieces of God. Therefore, we have God power to create anything that we want to on this planet, because we are connected to that divinity at all times, even when it feels like we're not. When I was not rooted in God, God was still rooted in me. He was just waiting for me to return and ask for help again. Because if you don't ask, you don't receive. That happens with your angels, with your guides, with your ancestors, with people that have passed over. If you do not ask them to help you and step in, they won't do it. They can't. You have to ask for the help. So I say all this to say that I lost touch after that conversation, and after I found that, just the name Jesus Christ and God brought me calm. After I felt these things, I was like, look, I need to start praying again. I need to start at least reading the Bible again, reading text. I brought out the Bible. I brought out the Course in Miracles. I mean, like I said, I don't subscribe to anything specific. I'm very curious about it all. I love Buddhism, actually. I think it's phenomenal. I think, I find it fascinating. I don't know enough, guys. I don't know enough to subscribe to any one thing at all. I don't know enough. And it's not like my study of expertise. I'm not out here trying to study every single religion. That's not what I do. I'd rather study anatomy and the body and shadow work and healing and different modalities. That's where I study and spend my time. But after that day, I brought out the Bible. I brought out the Course in Miracles and I started reading it, both of them. And I started to pray again. I had not prayed for years, guys, years. Oh my God. And it felt so calming to talk to God again. Because before I was God, so I wasn't talking to anybody but me. I was lost. And now I am found, because I am rooted back in God, rooted back in Him. I used to even talk about, this all manipulation. It's all to suppress women. God is, Him just to suppress women. I used to say this, but to be honest, when I talk about God, when I lean into Him, when I say that, that feels right for me. Whether you want to believe God, whether you call God universe, source, God, Him, whatever feels right to you, you say that. You say that. And for me, it feels right for me to say that He has me. He's never left me. He's always been here for me. That just feels right for me. I believe God is the energy, but it feels good for me as a small woman, to be the daughter of something so big, powerful, and just, protective, divine masculine. I don't know. It just feels good for me to call God Him. It just does. And I remember I used to speak against that. So this is why I'm talking about this today, because I want everybody to know very clearly where I stand with this, because this is powerful. And I don't ever want to lead people astray, especially away from God, especially. And what I've found out through this storm of mine that I have been going into and I have been going through is that if you are not rooted in something greater than yourself, you're going to lose it. If you're not rooted, if your relationships are not rooted in something greater than yourself, they'll never work. They'll never work. You have to be rooted into something that's greater than you, into love, because God is love. So if you're not rooted in God, in love, then you will fail. It will fail every time. Every time. So my journey since that day has been a whole lot of praying, a whole lot of reading the Bible and scripture, a whole lot of getting reconnected to Him, to the present moment. Because God is in the present moment always. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. Jeremiah. Always. You know, God never abandons you. He lets you experience what life feels like without Him, so you'll remember the difference. Luke 15:20. Thank God for my journey. Thank God for how I am not Christian. I just said I don't subscribe to any religion. I love the Bible, though. I love the Course in Miracles, too. I want to read the Quran. All of it. So, because I have been getting back in touch with God, back in touch with myself, with the present moment, I have never felt so good in my life. I can feel Him. Listen, guys, I can feel God now in a way that I've never been able to feel Him before. When I'm in nature, when I'm present, when I'm standing underneath the sun and I'm letting the sun bathe me and I'm taking in that solar God energy into my body, oh my God, it's pure ecstasy because He is running all the way through me. And it feels like magical sparkles within my body. Literally, I walk around in ecstasy when I'm outside. I'm not joking. I cry because of the beauty. I cry because of how amazing this life is and how amazing I feel. It literally brings me to tears. It brings me to tears. Because I've gotten back rooted in God, I feel so much softer because I'm not having to depend on me for everything. I have to do everything. It's all on me. I don't have to feel that way anymore because God's got me. God's got me. And whatever is meant for me and the people that are meant for me will show up no matter what. Because our lives are our lives and our purpose is our purpose and is already written and created. And it's already divine and perfect. It's already perfect. So we don't ever have to worry. That's what I've really been sinking into these past 3 months being away from what I was in. Is that we don't have to worry. because God got us. And even if it feels bad, look, 3 months ago, my life fell apart. Literally. I lost everything. Everything. I lost my job. I lost my husband. I lost my home. I lost my car. I lost my money. I lost my career. I lost everything that I thought was. Everything. I'm so grateful that 3 months prior to that moment, God said, hello, come find me again through the 3 people that I talked to that day. I'm so grateful for that. Because if I didn't have that and I didn't start leaning into that again, then 3 months ago, when everything fell apart in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at now at all. Not even close. Not even close. Because each day since that, I have leaned more into God. I have leaned more into trust. I have leaned more into allowing what I know is divinely for me because He leads me now. I don't lead myself. No, I allow Him to lead me in the direction that He wants me to go. It almost brings me to tears because it's so divine. And once you can get into that frequency, that vibration, oh my God, it's beautiful. You don't have to worry anymore. And all I did before was worry. All I did before was stress out. I couldn't lean into Him. I was only leaning into me, and I'm merely a human being. I just want everyone to know we don't ever have to worry because no matter how bad things feel in your life, no matter how bad it feels, God got you, and it's all happening for you, not to you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. 3 months ago, I thought I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I was in such a bad place mentally. I mean, I was in freak out mode, you know? When everything gets stripped from you, you go into freak out mode. It's pretty normal. Pretty normal. But I made a choice when all that happened that I wasn't going to succumb to my situation and I was going to fight my way out of it, just like I have my whole entire life. All of the situations that I've ever been in, I've fought my way out of it. So I wasn't going to change this time. And I especially wasn't going to change this time because of my 12-year-old son. So I committed. I committed to myself. I committed to my son. I committed to God that I was going to trust that He was going to take care of me. I was going to try to be as good as I could be and walk with Him as much as I possibly could and stay in that frequency of God because God is love. God is love. And every time my human emotion would try to take over me, all I would do was close my eyes and say, God, higher self, please tell me what to do in this moment. And boom, the answer always. The answer was always there for me every single time, every time. And because I stayed in that frequency of love, the frequency of God, the frequency of my higher self, instead of our human emotions of reaction, of trying to fight back, of trying to just rah, rah, rah in anger. No, I didn't let that happen. And because I never did. I didn't do that. Sir on the sorry, I don't know what I don't know what your screen name is, but I didn't.
Um, because I stayed rooted in love since everything went crazy in my life and everything changed, I am reaping the benefits of my behaviors now. And guys, when I tell you that I am the happiest I've ever been in my life, I mean, I can say that from the bottom of my soul, that I'm walking my purpose finally. After 38 years, I'm finally aligned in the light, in God, in my purpose, and I'm allowing Him to guide me in every way at this point in my life. And because so, I am the happiest I've ever been. I am the calmest I've ever been. I am the softest I have ever been because I don't need to hustle, hustle, hustle. I don't need to work my ass off every day and kill myself every single day to try to get. I don't need to do that anymore because my path is divine and it is divinely laid out for me. And when I walk for a purpose because there's a sign, there's a pull for me to do so from the light, from Him, from that vibration of pure love. I literally see my life as a golden road just laid out for me. And all I have to do is allow, put a little work in too, of course, but allow myself to be guided, attract what is meant for me. And baby, I am getting gifts on a daily basis. I've never felt so settled since. It was a long time that I had that low level anxiety just always there. A long time I felt that. I don't have that anymore. I have no anxiety anymore. I might get a little anxious here and there, but a consistent anxiety, I don't have that at all. At all. And when I go outside and I spend time in nature and I look at the beautiful flowers and the beautiful leaves and my neighbor who's a peacock, I feel God all in my body, just surrounded in love. And I've realized, guys, that is our purpose. Our purpose on this planet is to return and teach unconditional love. That is the only thing at the end of the day. We all get there in different ways, right? We all do this in different ways. Some people, I was just listening to a story about a lawyer who has saved 140 people from death row. Tell me that's not unconditional love to find 140 people that were deemed horrible, sentenced to death, but found innocent because the lawyer worked his ass off to make sure. We all need to return to unconditional love, return to God. And so I thought that this was one of the most important episodes that I have ever done because I know I spoke a lot in the past couple years about how we are God. And I really just want everyone to know that we are merely humans. We have God within us and we are connected to Him. So we have that power to create. That's what He wants us to do. To find Him and find that power to create, because we were all blessed with something very different from one another. My journey isn't saving 140 people on death row. That's not my journey. That's not my purpose. Yet, my purpose is to help people return to unconditional love. That's my spiritual story, guys. That's what I've been going through. And so I just want people to know that if you were like me, and you felt guilty for having to lean into something outside of yourself, try not to feel guilty about that, because we need that. We need to be rooted into God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, energy. We have to be rooted into that very powerful, very unconditional love. And if we're not, we'll get lost like I was. So yes, guys, relationships need to be rooted in God. We needed to be rooted in God. God is everything. And I'm so grateful for him, because my life is magic now. Magic. The creations, the magic that touches me every day is incredible. And you guys are going to be seeing much more of it from me, because I am surrounded in light at this point. Surrounded. I feel it. I feel it all over me. I feel it through the people that talk to me. I feel it inside of my community that I started with the people. And I see some of my community members in the chat. I love you guys so much. I feel that God power in every part of my life now. And it's all beautiful. And it's all unconditional love. All of it. Because I am back in the frequency of love, in the frequency of God. And all that can be attracted to you is what you are. So the community members, the people that are entering my life and giving me opportunities, the things that are happening to me, the magic that I'm experiencing on a daily basis, the miracles, it's because I'm rooted in God. I'm rooted in unconditional love. So therefore, all that is not meant, all that is dark, just repels away from me at this point. It can't even enter my space anymore at all, because I'm so rooted in this. I'm so rooted in the light. And I can't wait for y'all to see what I bring to this planet, because I can not only feel the beauty of everything, the euphoria of God all through me, I can also feel the pain of people on the planet. I can feel all of that. I can feel this unnecessary suffering of the people on the planet. I mean, when I was listening to that podcast about the lawyer that saved those 140 people, I was bawling, crying, because it's not just 140 people that are innocent sitting on death row. It's many more. Many more. There is still so much toxicity on the planet. There's so much toxic stuff going on. There's so many toxic systems that manipulate for their own power and selfish needs. And so I can't wait to teach what I download on a daily basis. I can't wait to usher in the example of softness from women, because it's been so toxic. And it's, you know what? I had a very amazing conversation with my great friend, Mike Rashid. And I was asking him a question. What do you think about toxic masculinity and toxic femininity? I'm releasing his podcast on Wednesday. And he said something so interesting to me that really hit me. And he's like, there is no such thing as toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. There is just toxic people, because femininity is not toxic and masculinity is not toxic. I was like, whoa, whoa. He's so right. He is so right. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, because it's just people that are toxic sometimes. Because masculinity is beautiful, femininity is beautiful, and we need both. We need both energies. So I can't wait to help usher in this beautiful, beautiful softness of the woman again, because I feel like things have gotten out of balance. Things have gotten out of balance. And that's why so many horrible things are happening all over the planet, because things are out of balance. And I feel like if women were to heal ourselves, right? The womb wound, and it runs deep within women, deep, years and years and years of suppression. It's just, voices being taken. So, I mean, we've, as people, gotten toxic, us women, because of it. There's so much toxicity. I'm not just talking about women. I'm not just talking about men. Okay. It's all of us. I'm not leaning to one side or the other. I'm not against one sex or the other. Please don't read that from me at all. I'm not. What I'm saying is that there is a deep, deep wound that women need to learn how to heal, so that we can rise in our softness and heal and nurture the world with that energy. I mean, we are fractals of everything, right? We're fractals of God. We're fractals of the planet. We're fractals of what could be a golden age. I have went to hell and back many times in my life, many times. And at this point, I am so rooted, so solid, so knowing. My knowing is so strong. My path is just laid out. I'm just so rooted that I have gone through that change of being a toxic person, because I was too far into my masculine. Hustle, 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 get, work, 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 hustle till you die. So I have slowly, and I'm not all the way there yet. I'm not perfect. I am still human, and I'm still healing on a daily basis. I still get triggered. I still get attitudes. I still snap a little bit here and there. I'm not perfect. But what I can say is that I've become aware of that wound within women. I've become aware of that wound within myself. And I have every day been doing things towards healing that part of myself. And I have been healing that part of myself daily. And as I've been healing that part of myself, guys, I've become so soft, so much softer than I ever was. And it's soft girl era, ladies. It's time for us to stand strong in our softness, because our softness is our power. Our softness is not anything else. And if we are to heal that womb wound, women, we are powerful creatures. We can heal the planet, because our softness will heal the planet. Our softness will heal the men. That's what I want to encourage. I want to encourage that. But I know for a fact at this point in my life that you need God to be able to be soft. Because if you don't have God and you're depending on you to create everything, you're not going to be soft. You're going to be scared. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be nervous. Fear is the opposite of love. That's it. That's it. This is my journey, guys. My journey. Y'all are going to see a lot more of this. A lot more. Trust me. Because I don't stop. Never have I ever stopped in my life until I accomplish the goals that I need to accomplish. And my goal, like I said, is to help usher in the healing of the woman wound. Help be the example for others to heal and attract what is divinely meant for us, and to stand strong within who we are and to find ourselves again and find what we're supposed to express in this life on the planet, because each of us have that. And a lot of us are just stuck into things that we don't even like, away from what we were given to be able to express on the planet. So anyways, if no one told you today, I love you. I love you just for existing. I love you just for existing. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope that if I ever led people astray, that I was able to bring them back with some of this, because that's really why I came here to speak all this today. So I love you guys so much. I'll be back. I love you.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and don't necessarily reflect those of the producers or affiliates. We do not guarantee the accuracy of the content. Please verify information and seek professional advice when needed. By listening, you agree not to hold us liable for any actions taken based on this content. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoy the episodes ahead. Love unlimited, feel unlimited.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to stay on this journey with me. There is so much more ahead. Courses, mentoring, healing circles, retreats, safe spaces to heal and grow. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and stay connected. We are not alone. In this journey, we're on it together.